Roy Sy, I'm Chairman of Wooddale Community Development Commission. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Damasco,
Present.
Mr. Milano is absent. Mr. Peterson,
Here.
Mr. St. Marie,
Here.
Mr. Vant,
Here.
and Mr. Woods.
Here.
Chairman Sy.
Here. I declare a quorum present. I will now entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 15, 2017.
So moved.
I have a question.
Question?
On page 3, on the, under the ayes and nays, I voted A on this issue. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I thought I voted yes. I don't know.
I do not have my notes any longer, so I certainly can't remember it, and I don't have a way to check it.
I'll make a motion for a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We have 2 public hearings scheduled tonight. All testimony will be given under oath. At the hearing, there will be an opportunity for the public to offer testimony and to comment. Following the public hearing, our deliberations will be open to the public. In a sense, all are invited to listen and to watch. The public, however, may not speak during our deliberation. The state statute requires a vote by a majority of the members of the Community Development Commission for those matters that will be referred to City Council for approval, and for those matters in which the Community Development will make the final decision. Staff will provide a general description of the proposal, followed by their assessment. We ask that the applicants here tonight give specific evidence to demonstrate that the proposal meets the standards of approval for the request. The burden is on the applicant to prove the case. With respect to others who wish to speak, you may give an opinion or present specific evidence as why you believe that the applicant meets or fails to meet the standards for the request. Finally, we will strictly adhere to the schedule prepared for tonight's meeting. In the case of an applicant or an event you or your attorney have filed an appearance as an objector, you will be afforded sufficient time within which to present your evidence. Whether you're a member of the public wishing to make a statement for the record or a witness testifying on behalf of the applicant or an objector, you will be placed under oath and begin by stating your name and address. If you are not presenting evidence on behalf of the applicant or an objector, your remarks will be taken after the applicant and all those who have filed an appearance as an objector have presented all their evidence. You will be subject to question by the Community Development Commission and the applicant or objector. To allow as many people as possible to be heard, if you're not an applicant or objector, we would request that your remarks be limited to 5 minutes. If additional time is needed, the hearing will be continued until the next available hearing date. I will now call the matter before us this evening. The first matter is case number 2017 CDC-04. Is regard to a proposed text amendment to the lot development standards for type 14 building in section 17.605.B2 of the municipal code. Will the secretary please note that the same commissioners are present? I declare a quorum present. Staff, will you please provide a summary of the request and indicate notice of the hearing was published and whether you have the certificate from the newspaper.
Would you raise your right hand, please? State your name and address.
Mohan Khan, 404 North Wooddale Road, Wooddale, Illinois.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you, Chairman Sai. As stated, we have a text amendment to section 17.605 B2, which is the lot development standards for a type 14 building. Just a preface before we kind of go into what the text amendment is going to be. The proposed text amendment only applies to type 14 buildings, which are only allowed in the I-1 and I-2 zoning districts, and also within the I-1 and I-2 zoning districts are typically your larger lots. So for a type 14 building, the lot standards for the dimensions are 200 feet wide. If it's a corner lot, 220 feet wide. Lot depth, 140 feet, and a minimum lot area of 2 acres. So these are your larger lots, not your smaller lots. And the text amendment also maintains that at least a 40-foot front yard setback. So just a little preface before we kind of go to the text amendment itself. Again, it's only applying to those type 14 buildings. The text amendment itself, proposed amendment will change a 40-foot build-to line to a 40-foot front yard setback. The difference to a build-to line and setback is a build-to line says that a building has to be built on that 40-foot. So in this case, for the front setback, being a build-to line, it says a building must be built 40 feet from the front lot line and nowhere else. It can be built 50 feet, 60 feet, 30 feet, it has to be 40 feet. The proposed text amendment would allow it to be built further back. For 40 feet or further back, so 50, 60, 70, or so on. It won't allow it to be closer to the front lot line, but it can be built further back. So simply, the text amendment will be to remove the asterisk right here, and then to remove the note that is related to the asterisk. It's not adding anything else. It's a pretty simple text amendment. It's just really removing that stipulation that it's a build-to line and just changing it to the front setback, which is what the other three are, the corner side, and rear setback. To give you an idea where these kind of type 14 lot buildings are, here's a map, an aerial kind of showing you, it really is, again, just the industrial area. The lighter purple, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's the I-1 district, and the I-2 district right here is the darker purple. These smaller lots that you see right here are about 2 to 4 acres. And you can see a lot of these are larger, way larger than 2 acre sites. And this text amendment would actually help with preventing buildings being built too close to the street and kind of creating that towering effect. And also allows property owners kind of keep in line with the already established buildings. If you continue to do the 40-foot build-to line, you'll have buildings built a lot closer to the street than they already are. So by making a setback, allows the flexibility, but also kind of maintains the character of the industrial area. In terms of the compliance with the comprehensive plan and the UDO, in terms of the comprehensive plan, the vision statement itself states that we want to help create a healthy, clean, aesthetically pleasing environment for the city and promote a strong industrial base. By making this text amendment, it gives property owners the flexibility in terms of development, where they want to place the building depending on parking needs, truck trailer traffic needs, and what type of building they want, whether it be a warehouse, an office building, manufacturing, whatever it may be. It gives them the flexibility, but again, maintains the intent of not building, too close to the street and creating that towering effect. It also, again, provides property owners the flexibility that will help maintain and enhance the city's manufacturing business park sites. Again, it's limited to the industrial park area in the city. In terms of the compliance with the UDO, staff thinks that it maintains the intent of the code while again providing the property owners with flexibility. And it continues to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare of the city. Because we think it's consistent with the UDO and both the comprehensive plan, we believe the CDC should recommend approval for this request. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Basically, what I've read here, this text amendment is for lots 2 acres or more, right?
Yeah, so your type 14 building, which requires a minimum lot size of 2 acres.
2 acres?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any questions from the commission? George, do you have any? Would the petitioner like to give a presentation or provide additional information?
Would you raise your right hand, please? State your name and address.
Kyle Schmitz, 6250 North River Road, Rosemont, Illinois.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. My name is Kyle Schmitz. I'm with Prologis, running a lot of this. I'm with Prologis, who's actually petitioning this, and this came up as a potential redevelopment. I don't really have much to add to what Mo said, other than it really does help us out from a design perspective, from an industrial building design, by allowing us to get cars on all sides of the building, allowing full circulation with the cars. And other than that, I'm happy to take any other questions at this time.
With the, excuse me, with the 40-foot height, is that the height to accommodate high rack storage? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm one thing ahead here. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll save it for next.
Okay. Thanks for the advance notice.
Is there any questions from the commission for the petitioner? I don't think we have anybody in the audience for objections. Do you have anything else to add?
I do not at this
Do you
time.
have anything else to add?
I do not.
Okay. Hearing no additional testimony, I will close the hearing for case number 2017 CDC-4. We'll now proceed into deliberations on the merit of this request. Is there any discussion? Anybody like any discussion? This is kind of straightforward here. Okay, based on the submitted petition and the proposal of text amendment to section 17605B2 of the municipal code as summarized in the staff memo, I move that the Community Development Commission adopt the findings of fact included within the staff memo as findings of the Community Development Commission, and recommend to the city approval of case number 2017 CDC-04. That's my motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Roll call, Marilyn?
Mr. Sy,
Yes.
Mr. Damasco,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. St. Marie,
Yes.
Mr. Vant,
Yes.
and Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Okay, the motion to recommend approval of the request of text amendment, section 17605B2 of the municipal code carries. Next item is case number 2017 CDC-3 in regard to proposed height variation of construction, a building that is 45 feet tall, where 30 foot is allowed. The subject property is located on the southwest corner of Middle Drive and Devon, commonly known as 1555 Middle. AMB Partners 2 local LP is the petitioner and owner of the property. Will the secretaries please note that the same commissioners are present and declare a quorum present. Staff will provide a summary of the request and indicate notice of the hearing was published and when you have the certificate of publication from the newspaper.
Raise your right hand. Please state your name and address.
Mount Con, 404 North Woodhill Road, Woodhill, Illinois.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you, Chairman. The public hearing notice was published on May 30th, and there was a notice of publication included in the file. As Chairman stated, this is a building height variation for 1555 Middle Drive. Same petitioner who brought forward the text amendment request. Kind of give you a background, the subject property, 1555 Middle is located on the southeast corner of Middle Boulevard and Devon Avenue. Currently, it is improved with approximately 61,000 square foot office building with surface parking. Also, as a note, there is a shared access easement right on the bottom of it, which is a private drive that's available for use by both 1555 Middle and 1501 Middle, which is just south of the subject property. The shared access easement agreement allows for any type of vehicle traffic, whether it be passenger or truck trailer traffic. It doesn't limit how much traffic or what kind of traffic can be brought on and be used on that private drive. The proposed site plan is approximately 81,000 square foot warehouse distribution facility with on-site parking on all three sides with a truck trailer court to service the docks on the south side of the building, right over here. This is a proposed floor plan. It is divisible to be used by multiple tenants. That's why the petitioner has multiple office areas, so it could be divisible and be used for up to three tenants. That's why you have multiple office areas in case they do divide up the building. This is the proposed side elevation of the building. The petitioner plans to have many aesthetically pleasing features such as glass. As you can see, it is considered a Class A warehouse distribution type building, and some of the qualities of Class A are multiple aesthetic qualities like glass features, landscaping around the building. It also depends on the location of the site itself, and the location itself would deem it a Class A, being so close to the New Illinois 390 Elgin O'Hare Expressway or highway. In terms of compliance with the UDO, it meets lot coverage requirements. If the commissioners did notice that there are some plans for an parking lot expansion, which aren't proposed with the lot coverage right now, if the property owners do want to expand the parking lot, those would either be pervious type of material, whether it be pervious concrete, or would the petitioner have come back for a lot coverage variation. However, they're not proposing that right now, so they are at the 80%. Just as a note, if there were any questions regarding that. In terms of parking, they're required to provide 56 parking spaces. They're proposing 76 parking spaces. In terms of building height, is what the variation request is for. Code currently limits it to 30 feet. They're proposing to up to 45 feet. And the reason why they're saying up to 45 feet is to give them flexibility depending on the mechanical equipment that may be installed. So our code requires that the mechanical equipment be screened by the wall panels or by parapet wall, so that the 45 will give them the flexibility in case they have to have a larger HVAC equipment or mechanical equipment. That will give them the flexibility to make sure that it's properly screened from other buildings from the street. In terms of setback, they meet the corner, rear, and side yard setback. The 40 feet is the build-to line, which is why they came with the text amendment for the previous case. So currently they don't meet that, but once City Council approves it, they would meet the front yard setback and also the building height. In terms of the compliance with the comprehensive plan, the future land use map designates the subject property as a business park. As you can see, the description is the land use category is intended to provide for a compatible mixture of office, research, low-intensity distribution, and light manufacturing uses. The proposed use would be considered low-intensity distribution because of its the size of the buildings. It is almost 81,000 square feet, which may seem like a lot, but in terms of warehouse and distribution, it's not necessarily that big of a warehouse building, so it will be considered low-intensity distribution. As you can see, it is surrounded by other business park property that's categorized as business park. In terms of the standards for the variation, which are more responded to in detail in the staff memo, all the variations to approve or grant a variation are met by the petitioner. Because staff thinks that the petitioner's request is consistent with the UDO, is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and meets the variation standard, we, the CDC, should recommend approval. As you know, this is one of the text amendments that staff is going to bring forward in the next couple of months, is the building height to allow for industrial buildings, to allow for taller buildings. And the reason why is that with the shift in market trends, these warehouse buildings have to be taller in order to find, tenants to occupy them. If they're built at the 30-foot height limit that we have right now, you won't find tenants as quickly, and if you do, they may not stay there as long. So the staff is going to come forward with a text amendment to increase that building height. So if there's any questions.
Okay, I have a couple. Being the fact that this could be cut and make three separate units, is there going to be enough room for the adequate parking?
Yes, so the parking is based off the total square footage. So for about 81,000 square feet, based on our parking requirement, which is one space per 1,430 square feet, it will be about 56 parking spaces. So that's what our code requires. The petitioner is providing, let me go back to it, 76 spaces. And they have planned to add additional parking spaces if needed. And again, if they wanted to add those, it'd be some type of pervious material or come back for lot coverage variation.
And the other question, if I read all the information right, there is no access from this property onto Devon Avenue.
No, there is not. Let me go, let's see, go back. So the access is strictly from Middle Boulevard.
Okay. Is there any question? Mr. Woods?
Remind me, how high did we go with the AMB building?
40 feet.
40 feet. So now we're going to 45. Are we ever going to put something in stone on where we're going to go?
Yeah.
Are we gonna have a limit? Are we gonna go
Exactly,
50,
just-
55,
I mean, I don't want to stop anybody from doing business, but I think we need to kind of get it set in stone where we're going to go. Otherwise, we're going to be in there every month for this.
Right.
So we've discussed this internally, and we know that we're going to be somewhere between 40 and 45 feet in terms of the max height. If there is an industrial building that does want to go higher, they will have to come in and apply for a variance once that text amendment is approved. But that's the one thing that staff is working with some of the other developers on, is trying to determine what is the appropriate max height to allow industrial redevelopment to occur without having to come for a variance every time. It appears as though 32 feet clear height is kind of the industry standard. And so we're looking at what that max is. I believe that 45 feet will be the max that we go for our text amendment. And so that's really what we're looking at this point. If the CDC doesn't feel comfortable with 45 feet, then we can certainly look to lower that. I think initially we were contemplating 42 feet was kind of where we thought we would end up, but that's really kind of subject to CDC review and ultimately the City Council approval when we come forward with our text amendment.
What is it going in other areas that have new buildings going up? What are their max heights?
I know that 40 feet is in some communities, but we haven't done a full analysis of other communities, so we can certainly, I mean, we intend to do that as part of our text amendment. We haven't had a chance, which is why the developers have to come in for variances, because we haven't settled on a height.
Yeah, the height of 45 feet. At what height is the bar joist going to be set at? Because you're allowing some height above the roof to cover the air conditioning units, right?
So our code requires that the height of a building is measured to the top of the parapet wall, which is a little bit different than other codes. Other codes actually measure to the top of the roof structure. And so that's really where the extra height comes into play due to the screening for mechanical units and the variability of those types of units, and wanting that screening to be integrated into the building design. So that's really where the extra height comes in, is that the parapet wall has to be included.
And then what's the clear height inside the factory?
Typically, it's 32 feet, although I certainly, the petitioners probably have a much better
I'll have to
understanding
ask
of the
that
market,
question
right?
Is there any other, Mr. Woods?
Are you telling me they have to take the whole perimeter wall up? for covering the HVAC units?
They don't necessarily have to, but if they do incorporate the parapet as the screening, then there's additional height that has to be accounted for, because there's some other building code issues that have to be accounted for if they decide to do that. There's other screening that can be put on the roof,
Okay.
but it's not necessary. It's just, again, allowing that flexibility in the event that they want to integrate it into the building design.
Go ahead.
George?
Kelly, I know that a lot of the communities around here are going higher. Property values are going higher. They have to go higher to make their quote. The only thing that I didn't know, and I guess I learned something today, that this property is located in unincorporated Cook County.
No, this property itself isn't located in unincorporated Cook County. So the property across the street.
Oh, the property
Yeah,
across
so
the
I believe you're
street.
looking at the neighboring property designation. So the property to the north is unincorporated Cook County, unincorporated Elk
Thank you
Grove.
very much for
Yeah.
clarifying.
Any other questions, Mr. Woods?
So basically, our building is only going 40 feet. The other 5's just for all right, we're good.
Any other questions?
You know what I do have?
Yes.
This is more for them, if we could.
Them,
That-
them,
I don't remember their names, I'm sorry.
petition.
You have to be sworn in again.
I'm Kyle Schmitz. I'm with Prologis, 6250 North River Road, Rosemont, Illinois.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Sorry about not remembering your name, Kyle, but
No, it's no problem. So yeah, to help give you guys kind of an understanding, a lot of the buildings within the O'Hare submarket, built in the 1970s, 24-foot clear height, and that's kind of slowly been going up. Kelly mentioned everybody's really kind of at 32 now, which is certainly true. However, you're really starting to see certain tenants want to go up to 36, and so that's where the 45-foot would come in, including kind of the flexibility to add the additional parapet walls. So it's really a measure of making sure we can meet the demands of any tenant who would come along. Most likely it will be a 32-foot clear tenant, and the actual building height will be under 40 feet. But if we do find a tenant that's willing to come in, but they need the 36-foot clear for their building, as you guys mentioned, this land is expensive, and it's gone nothing but up in value. I think our rents right now will be in the $8 range. So they're paying a lot of money for this, and the higher we can get them, the more likely we are to attract a good tenant.
Mr. Woods?
all right, the question I have for you, I'm sure you went and looked at the building that's there.
Yes.
Which we all did. From the Devon Avenue side, it's landscaped very nicely.
Yes.
Now, I know it's gonna be a lot different because you're gonna have a parking lot. But I'm kinda worried about at least seeing trees there that kinda mimic what the Sloan building next door does. So it kinda hides the building a little, so I'm not seeing a 45-foot white wall, and that's it. So is there landscaping that's planned for that area?
Yes, absolutely, and we will we'll make sure we're in compliance with all codes.
I'm good.
Yeah, obviously, I think you guys know Prologis and a lot of our buildings. This is something we're going to be holding forever, and so we have interest in really making sure it looks nice. It's going to be kind of a flagship building of that park. It's right on the corner. It's going to have our sign on it, and we will make sure it looks really good because everybody that drives by there, I think, I looked a couple weeks ago, it's 15 to 20,000 cars a day going by that road, and so we are certainly motivated to make sure that building looks as good as possible.
Thank you.
Is there any more questions for the petitioner? I don't see, still, we don't have any public here, so, having no additional testimony, I will now close the public hearing for case number 2017 CDC 03. We will now proceed into deliberations of the merits of this request. Do we have any discussion on this? I think we've just about covered it all. Being no further discussion, is there I'll make a motion relative to the request for the height variation of 1555 Middle